Allow this video to be your luminous guide, illuminating your path with wisdom and inspiration.
If any one of them are missing, you will say, I'm not a complete human being in some way. So, the nature of life and our existence is such. What we think is… because our thought process and our intelligence has given us this wrong feeling that we are the center of the universe. No, the existence is not human-centric. We're just one tiny little creature. Significant though. Significant we are. Because of our ability to be conscious, because of our intelligence, we have become significant, but only in our experience. Only in our experience. In the cosmic nature of things, tomorrow morning this planet may just fly away somewhere and vanish. Huh? Possible or no? Many of the asteroids passing by the Earth are bigger than the planet Earth. That's what we are… these days everybody is fearing because all these years we did not know what the hell is happening. Now that they have seen some huge asteroids, there's a paranoia. If one of them come and hit us, what will happen? Oh, we will go into pieces, of course. So, who we are is not significant in creation, but significant for us, simply because our experience is rooted in us. Because I hear that you are among the foremost… there are many people here who are foremost spinal surgeons. We refer to the human spine as Merudanda. That means the axis of the universe. I know many people just carrying this little body, already the spine is hurting. Axis of the universe. Terrible. Definitely they need a titanium replacement. Why we're calling this the axis of the universe is, human experience is transmitted largely through the spine. Because it's transmitted through the spine, and our experience is the basis of the universe for us. How do we know there is a world around us? Only because we see, hear, smell, taste and touch. All that is being transmitted through our spine. So, universe exists not because it is there. It exists for us only the way we perceive it. Maybe an earthworm doesn't know there is a moon. Hello? Most probably he doesn't know. He definitely knows there is a sun, I know. But he may not know there is a moon because it may not have any relevance for him. A bird may not know there is a cosmos and he doesn't care probably. But we know all this simply because of our enhanced perception, and this perception is being transmitted. In the process of evolution, one of the most significant steps is… I'm sorry, I'm talking to doctors, but… should I? One of the most significant steps in the process of evolution is the making of the spine or the vertebrae as it is. Definitely. Why such a thing happened is, when our neurological system started evolving, somewhere the intelligence of life realized it needs protection. When we say our visual apparatus, this is a very complex eye. It is able to distinguish minutest differences in many things which most other creatures on the planet cannot do. The first… even now this sea life exists, there are certain fish in whom there are photosensitive cells. They can just sense there is light, they cannot see anything. That's the first eye. It's being taken as the first evolutionary eye, must be this fish, because it can see light and darkness, that's all. From there, these sensory organs, these neurological developments have been phenomenal. And the richness of our experience is mainly because of the sensitivity of our neurological system. This needed protection, it needed a conduit. So the spine came up. Another significant aspect of ecological process is, from a horizontal spine, it became a vertical spine. So in yoga, there's a whole system of yoga just training you how you can keep your spine erect, to be aligned always. You're standing, sitting, running, doing whatever you want, but you are conscious where your spine is all the time, because this determines how sensitive you are to life. Because your whole experience of life is being transmitted. And our experience of the universe is just the way we experience it, we don't know any other way. Because of that, this is the center of the universe. In the sense, it's like this. See, now this hall, we can see the walls. Now we can say which is the center of this hall, either that one or this one, we can debate a little bit. But when you cannot see the boundaries of this hall, this is universe, you cannot see the boundaries, I can fix the center wherever I want. Wherever there is intensity of experience, that's my center. So, human spine is seen as the center of the universe and also the axis of the universe, depending upon how sensitive you make it. Accordingly, the enlargement of your experience, the enhancement of your experience of life happens, your perception is enhanced beyond your sense perception. Even to go beyond senses, still the neurological basis is very, very significant. This is the reason why we are saying only a human being can realize. The other creatures are not equipped to realize because their neurological system is not sophisticated enough for that.
Sadhguru, in the video we saw the Dhyana Linga, and it is always said that you have consecrated a lot of energy into Dhyana Linga. But we would like to know what is this energy, because if you take the 3,000 people here, we know that there are some people with high energy and some people with low energy. So is it that they are born like that or they are manufactured like that?
It depends what was their breakfast. Pongal and no coffee. After Pongal you need degree coffee.
Degree coffee. So what do you mean by this energy, which you can take it and keep it in a different place, and how do we get energized? People also say, I heard you say that you sleep only for 2.5 hours. So can you tell us the secret?
That was at one time. The first 25 years of my activity, on an average I slept 2.5 to 3 hours a day. These days, becoming a bit lazy. Anywhere between 3.5 to 4.5 hours I'm sleeping. More by… not because of my age, for sure, because nothing has changed that way within me. Just that one thing is, these days nutrition is bad because I'm traveling so much and I'm particular that the food is in a certain level of freshness. Once you leave India, most of the food that appears on your plate is minimum 3 months old. It's very difficult to get something which is fresh. So that makes me go skip meals all the time. I think due to lack of daily nourishment. I get nourishment, once in 2 days, 3 days I get good nourishment, but there is no daily nourishment simply because of excessive travel. I think because of that there is a bit of slackness. I think if I eat well for 2-3 months, I'll be back to 3 hours easily. So, why does one person need… well, by prescription these days, 8 hours, is it?
7 to 8 hours. 7 hours sleep.
Okay, 7 hours. And why another person can do with half of that? See, one thing is, as we already went through, the very physical body that you carry is just the food that you've eaten, isn't it? You are looking at food only as protein, vitamin, mineral like this. But we're talking about a food chain. That means they're all different kinds of lives. What we consume is another form of life. Every animal consumes another form of life. This is the way the food cycle is created. So in what condition that life is will determine in what condition your life is in many ways. So if food appears in front of me, if I just look at it, people have prepared it with elaborate care, if I just look at it, I say no. They'll say, no, Sadhguru, this girl, this lady has brought it, she's a very good cook, she's very tasty. I just look at it and say no. Simply because it's not alive enough for me. It may be tasty, but it's not alive enough for me. If it's not alive enough, I will not consume. If you're just conscious of this one thing, you will see your sleep quota will go down. Another thing is, most people are eating at least 50%. 50% means 100% more than what they need to eat. Yes, you will do one thing. As an experiment, just try this. Whatever you're eating, cut it down by 50%. If you're eating, let's say, 2 kilograms of food, cut it down to 1 kilogram and eat variety of foods, you will see you will neither drop weight, nor will you become weak, nor will you become less energetic. Only thing that'll happen is your sleep quota will go down. Because you're putting so much food to generate the same amount of energy, you're eating more by compulsion of liking the taste or simply by compulsion of filling yourself up. Now the body has to process so much food to create so much energy. This extra processing is taking a toll on the system. The amount of impurities that are there in the food will also determine how much inertia you generate in the body. Let's understand it this way, in terms of physical terms. What sleep means is inertia. Right now you're dynamic, this is life, inertia sets in. When inertia goes beyond a certain point, that's death. But sleep is a certain kind of death, but it is offering you rest. So restfulness is very important. What is being restful means is, if you sit here, if you're at total ease, you will see the body is naturally restful. Have you noticed on a particular day, you are very happy, on that day you don't need much sleep or food, have you noticed this? That's all you have to do. If you remain very joyful every moment of your life, the food will come down, sleep will come down naturally. So there are many aspects to this. Fundamentally, if you keep your life energies very exuberant, now you will see the sleep quota will naturally come down. To keep it exuberant, you should not be overladen. Largely, in the ashram, everybody, young people also, eat only 2 meals a day. 10 in the morning, 7 in the evening. Our activity exceeds most people's activity in the world, and we are 7 days, 365 days, we don't know what's a vacation, because we are enjoying what we're doing. We don't want a break. So, they never go on a vacation, there is no break, there's no Sunday, Monday nonsense, nothing, every day something is happening endlessly. But you will see, people are very energetic, healthy, sleep is very little. So, energetically, a human being can be at different levels. Why this is important is, see, what we call as life is just a combination of two things, a certain amount of energy and a certain amount of time. When it comes to time, it is ticking away for all of us at the same pace. Clock doesn't run slowly for me, faster for you, there's no such thing. Whether you are busy, you are lazy, you are sleeping, you are doing useful things or useless things, it doesn't matter what you do or you do not do, time is ticking away. So there's no such thing as time management. You can manage your energy. If you raise your energy to a higher pitch of intensity, what somebody does in 10 years, you may do it in 1 year. So if you live for 100 years, it looks like you lived for 1,000 years. Simply because your energy is pitched up. This every human being can do. The whole yogic system is… one dimension of yogic system is just towards this. If you sit here, Even if you simply sit here with your eyes closed, you don't sit here in a static way. You sit here in a dynamic way. You never become static, because static is called as death. If everything becomes static, that is death. If inertia really sets in, that is death. So sleep in yoga is seen as death. You die every day. How long do you want to die in a day? You really must use this word for yourself. Don't tell anybody, I'm going to die. For yourself, how long do I want to die in a day? 8 hours a day if you die. 1/3 of your life you're dead. In 24 hours, 8 hours you're dead means 1/3 of your life dead. Another 4 hours goes into eating, sleeping, eating, toilet, bath, this, that. Where is the time to live, I'm asking? So, if life is precious, the most important thing to do is keep your energies in an exuberant way so that life becomes more, life feels enhanced, because you cannot enhance time. Maybe you can live a few years longer, but you can't slow down time for yourself. Do what you want. Do whatever you want, time keeps rolling. As you sit here, since you came and sat here, you're about an hour and a half closer to your grave. It's a diagnosis. That was not me, okay? So, this is very important because one dimension of what we call as life, which is time. See, in Tamil language, this is very good. When somebody dies, we don't say he is dead, we say kalamaitannu. Simply means his time got over. Perfect description, isn't it? All that happened is time got over. So time is getting over as you sit here, yes or no? Hello? Those immortal beings, I'm asking you. Time is getting over. As you sit here, it's going away. So the only thing we can manage is, how intense is my life energy? For this, we have a whole lot of systems to slowly work on it, work on it, work on it in such a way that, there were times, these days, one night is okay, second night I'm a bit down. Otherwise, there was a time, 3 nights if I don't sleep, continuous 3 nights, consecutive nights, I don't sleep, full day I'm working, full night I'm working. If you see me on the 4th day, I will be just fine, you won't even make out anything. Today I'm little, as I said, this excessive travel, I don't have enough sadhana to keep me up like that. But one night, 2 nights also I could manage, but one night effortlessly I will go, even today. How about… there was a question about Dhyana Linga in this, which I missed out. What Dhyana Linga means is, because time is running out for me, like everybody else, I'm not saying I'm going tomorrow. Everybody should know, time is running out, hello? As we sit here, it's running out for all of us. Because time is running out, people on the spiritual path will always wonder, after Sadhguru what? What do we do? So, this was the vision of another great yogi way back, that to establish a form which is like a living yogi, but he won't travel, he's always there. A yogi without legs, good or no? That he can't go anywhere, but a full-fledged being with all the 7 chakras and everything, full-fledged. Only thing is, he doesn't ask for food, good. He doesn't sleep, good. And he doesn't die, very good. And he doesn't go anywhere, very, very good. So that's the kind of yogi we created, who's sitting there right now. He can't walk, he can't talk, he won't eat, he won't die. Good or no? Insurance for future.
Sadhguru, you said about Kalamanar, his time is over. So is that time a finite time for all of us? Because medically, there is so much of billions of dollars being spent on trying to extend our life. So if we think that there is a finite time for everybody. So is this a wrong process of thought process to work on for research, or is it a futile research?
See, if all these idiots live forever, what do you do? In the chant that I did in the beginning, Jananam Sukadam, Maranam Karunam. Death is a great compassion if it comes at the right time. If we really want to punish you, let's say we won't give you death sentence, we will give you a deathless sentence, you cannot die. You will suffer much more than death sentence, isn't it? Yes. So, only a fool who is inebriated either with money or hormones thinks he wants to live forever, you understand? Either money has blinded him or his intelligence has been fully hijacked by his hormones. Such a fool wants to live forever. Otherwise, it's very nice that you come, you live a full-fledged life and you go gracefully, it's wonderful. But we want to live a full life. What does a full life mean? Full life does not mean 1,000 years. Full life means everything that is there for a human being to explore, know and experience must happen in this life. It's very important. A full-fledged life. So for this, how long can they live? People are investing billions of dollars. They don't have to. If they invest a couple of hours a day, we can make them live a full life. In the sense, both in terms of experience and time. In terms of time, because our birth has a relationship with the cycles of the sun and the cycles of the moon, I will not go into the detail of this will get too complex. But to put it very simply, only because our mothers' bodies were in sync with the cycles of the moon, we are sitting here today, yes or no? Huh? If our mothers' bodies were not in sync with the cycles of the moon, we wouldn't be born. So, there are 9 celestial objects which have significant impact on our body. Out of these, 3 of them are most important: the planet Earth, which provides material for our body, moon, which sets up certain basic cycles within our system, and sun. Everything here is solar powered. If one moves within you, these cycles are happening. In a female body, it's very obviously happening. Even in a male body, it is happening, but not so visible, because a man is supposed to fend for the humanity, a man is supposed to take care of the survival. Today, life has changed in the world simply because of technology, not because of liberalism, okay? World has changed because of technology, that our survival process is no more going and hunting in the forest, our survival process is going to the office. Because of that, a woman also can go to the office as a man goes, and probably do better because she doesn't have to smoke, she doesn't have to look at the other woman. So she is far more focused on her work. Maybe she's more productive in the workplace. But man was structured by the nature. If we lived in the jungle, then man would be very important for survival. She would be important for other things. So if you look at the cycles, the lunar cycle is the shortest cycle that we have. There are other kinds of cycles, I will not go into the mathematics of it, but the largest cycle we can go into the solar cycle, which is 12.25 years long. So, whole yogic process on one level is focused towards taking the body from a lunar cycle to a solar cycle. From a 28-day cycle, we want to slowly push this into a larger cycle where our cycles are 12.25 years. If that happens, the system becomes a total ease. Physiologically, psychologically, you come to such a state of balance. We have specific practices to move a person towards the solar cycles. These are called Surya Kriya. You start doing this so that gradually you imbibe a certain dimension. These dimensions are always on. The influence of the sun, the influence of the moon, the influence on our planet is continuously on us. Which will we allow to maximize within ourselves? A woman within the childbearing age, her influence, influence of the moon is very heavy on her. That is a responsibility that she has. That's why we are alive, that's why we are born, that's why we are here, because a woman's body was made like that. But over that, her life cycle also changes and she can also move to others. Even during the childbearing age, she can leave the reproductive system in that cycle and move the rest of it away. It is very much possible for a human being to do that. So, as this happens, 1008 cycles of the moon is considered a full life. This becomes 82 something, a little more than 82 years, gets us to that stage. So we say, for the sake of safety, because there are certain other aspects to it, we say if you cross 84 years, you have lived a full life. There are many changes which happen in the system once people cross that 1008. So what is the maximum life a human being can live? See, in normal human being, I don't know what the medical science says, please tell me, I'm not conscious about that. Normally we see that by our own experience, a human being breathes between 12 to 15 times per minute. Is that the understanding? If you're breathing 15 times per minute, you're breathing 21,600 times per minute. 21,600 is not just an accidental number that you have arrived at. 21,600 is the number of nautical miles across the equator. And for every longitude that you have, between one longitude and the next longitude, the space is 60 nautical miles. This is considered as a minute. Anybody who is an aviator or a navigator knows this. We call the space as a minute, because that's 1 minute. And our breath and the cycles of the planet are very closely connected. If we drop our breathing to 12 on an average, suppose by doing the right kind of practices you bring your breath to 12, we say you will live up to 108 years of age. If you drop your breath to 9, we say you will live up to 124 years of age. If you drop your breath to 6, we say you will live up to 164 years. If somebody comes to a state where they come to a static breath, no breath for long periods of time, that means it's almost like you're hibernating and being reborn. Such a person, we call him a nirmanakaya, that means he recreates his own body. He goes into hibernation states and recreates his body. For him, we don't fix a time span, it is his choice how long he lives. Till he has a certain purpose, he may live and he will die when he's well. He will not die because of ailments, he will not die because of something, he will die when he is well. So, this is not like an absolute thing, this is a general trajectory of life.
Sadhguru, we are having a lot of young doctors here, so I would like to ask 2 or 3 questions on behalf of them. You said that in Isha Yoga there is no weekend. If you tell that to young doctors, they think there is no life. Because sadly, due to WhatsApp messages and Facebook and all the things that come, there's a big problem for the younger generation on work-life balance. So how did you manage to make a weekendless week? I'm just asking it in a selfish way for my hospital.
See, Well, there are different things to attend to in life, probably. There is a family and there are friends and there is pleasure and there is picnic and so many things they want to do. But I was… first time, many years ago, first time when I was in United States, they took me to restaurants which was TGIF. I said, what's TGIF? They said, thank God it's Friday. I said, what? No, the thing is, Friday afternoon means already they stopped working and they're thinking of a party. So they're living for the weekend. One who suffers the week and lives for the weekend is a very measly life, isn't it? How come you don't enjoy the week? Only weekend? Simply because a whole lot of people, I am not commenting on your doctors, I'm saying generally a whole lot of people are doing things which don't mean a damn to them to themselves. It doesn't mean a damn thing to them, they're just doing it because it's a way of earning a living. Yesterday some television channel was misinterpreting what I said long time ago very badly. I said, when I was 10 years of age, I told my father, who was a very ardent physician, not a simple physician, very ardent. So all his life academically he's excelled in everything and a dedicated doctor. He became a doctor because he lost his mother when he was 4.5 years of age to tuberculosis. So there are very touching stories how he used to go to see his mother and she would put a towel on his face and kiss him because she was afraid she will infect him. And those days there was not much treatment, so they just built a house for her on a hillock, thinking that fresh air would cure her tuberculosis, but she passed away at the age of maybe 21 or so, 21 or 22 maybe, a young woman. So at that time, she told him, it's a very rich merchant family, where naturally by the time you're 12, you're into business. So, she told him, you must become a doctor. Because she felt if some other kind of doctor had come, she would have saved her life. We don't know what turmoil she went through, who knows. So he committed that he will become a doctor, and at the age of 12, when his father tried to force him into business, he left the family, went outside, leaving a very wealthy family and studying outside on the streets, and slowly he became a doctor. So the first thing he did was, he served in the Mysore sanatorium for tuberculosis. For 3 years, he worked in the sanatorium for 50 rupees a month. So he is that kind of a doctor, totally dedicated. Later on he served in the government, whatever. So his idea of success is, you must become a doctor. If you're not a doctor, you're no good for anything, at least when it came to his children. That is the expectation. So I didn't want to disappoint him later. So when I was 10, I told him, this is one thing that I'm not going to be.
Did you know the future of doctors even then, or…
No, so all along my father was always worried that I am not getting trained for anything specific.
Don't create the expectations, there'll be no rejections. It's like, I throw a stone up, Sadhguru, I throw a stone up, why is it landing on my head? Well, that's how it works on this planet. If you don't want it to work like this, you must leave this atmosphere and throw the stone up, it just continues to travel straight up. This is how it works here. If you throw it up, it lands on your head. No? You are like somebody who plays solitaire, you know. Yes, this is like playing solitaire. This is just because you're like a person who wants to drive on the Mumbai street without knowing anything about the vehicle that he drives. You don't know how to drive, but you got into a car or motorcycle and tried to do… Motorcycle won't cooperate at all. First moment you'll fall. Car is little easier, anybody can make it roll, because it's on four wheels. So if you drive, then you say, Sadhguru, I'm driving, but there is so much fear, what to do? And people are dying on the street, what to do? Well, that's what will happen. So if you want to drive it, you spend some certain amount of time learning to drive before you hit the road, isn't it? This is also just like this. Before you start your life, you must spend some time learning something about this machine, isn't it? This body, this mind, how to use it, in what way it operates best. Shouldn't we spend some time? No, you just jump into life and as I create expectations and I get dejected, obviously unrealistic, isn't it? So, oh, if I don't create expectations, maybe I won't do nothing. That's not true. Anyway, you're doing something, isn't it? Even the bees and the birds and the ants and the elephants are doing something, isn't it? Whatever they can do, aren't they doing? So that's all you can do also. Whatever you can do, you can do. What you cannot do, you cannot do. So we taught you Isha Yoga to remove all the other nonsense. You understand? If you can look upon everything around you the same way, everything that you can do, you'll do. What you cannot do, you'll not do. What's the problem? That's how the whole existence is functioning, isn't it so? If you ask this planet to spin backwards, can it do it? So even Mother Earth cannot do, so what's the big deal? You are just a piece. Isn't it so? The earth is spinning like this. If you say spin like this tomorrow morning, can it spin? No. So, what's the big deal? You can only do what you can do. So once you see this, your whole life will be focused on how to enhance your ability to do, not waste your time on silly expectations. Life will happen the way it happens, not because you desire. It happens because you're enabled in a certain way. Instead of enabling yourself, you're wasting your time in silly expectations of yourself. So, instead of spending your time building fancy expectations, spend your time to enable this one. What you're capable, that's all you will do, isn't it? Can you do something more? Can anybody do something more than what they're capable of? No. It is just that your capability can be stretched. Without stretching your ability to do, you're building expectations. It is just fundamentally wrong, isn't it? No? It's fundamentally wrong, isn't it so? Now I want to run 100 meters in 7 seconds. You shouldn't think of this. You should just work on your legs and your lungs and just run. Maybe, who knows, you'll run it in 6 seconds, who knows? Why are you worried about the time? You build your legs into as powerful a condition as you can build it and just run. Just for the simple joy of it. We don't know what will be the time. 21 minutes? So, don't waste your life in setting up expectations because these expectations are not even yours. You're looking at your neighbor and setting expectations for yourself. It's a very very silly way of building your life, because your expectations are not even yours, isn't it? I'm telling you, human mind is such. Let's say in Mumbai everybody had only one leg. You had actually two, but everybody has only one. They're all hopping around. You will also do that, though you have two. Because you're setting up your expectations, looking at people around you. So, there's no need for any expectations, just enable yourself. Whatever the situation allows, we'll do. Just, this is all you have to do. Build your body and your mind in such a way that you can use it to the fullest capability. So whatever kind of situations arise in front of you, accordingly you act, not the fancy way you like. You know, right now, we have started a whole different form of education in Asia called Samskriti. They have no formal education. They're just learning yoga, classical music, classical dance, Sanskrit language, English language, and martial arts, nothing else. These kids know nothing, but you come and see them absolutely like this, because we're just teaching them to use their body and their mind to the fullest capability. You will see by the time they're 18, they will be phenomenal creatures. Because your success in this world is just this. The physical world, the success is just this. How effectively can you use your physical body and your mind? That's all your success is. Is that so? That's all it is, isn't it? A little bit of knowledge you need, the damn knowledge is all on the net, you don't have to keep it in your head. It's all in the net. Unless you want to do some specific kind of activity for you want to build some knowledge, you can do that. But that also, I would say the whole education system, which is little over 20 years right now, can be compressed to 5 to 6 years if people are of a certain mental capability. And every human being, almost every human being except those who are impaired in some way, almost every human being is capable of this. If only you take off the silly expectations which are a crippling factor, because your expectation is if somebody is doing this, you want to do one step more, even if that's a crippled standard. You don't go about building expectations, you just work upon building your body and your mind to enable yourself that you can use it to the fullest extent. We don't know how you will use it. What you do in this world should be relevant to the situation in which you exist, isn't it? Action is always about the situation, not about you. If this one thing, if you get it, then there'll be no expectation. Simply you do what's needed. In a given situation, you simply do what's needed, that's all. If you're placed in Mumbai, you learn the stock market. If you're placed in Kanyakumari, you learn fishing. This also you do well, that's also you do well, that's all, wherever you are, that's all there is, isn't it?
If we want to live well, both externally and internally, how well we live here simply depends on how well we manage our surroundings and how well we manage ourselves. Fundamentally, life is management. If you don't know how to maintain your body, your mind, your emotion, your situations, your life in general, your home, your communities, nations and the world, The quality of our life is just how well we manage things with ourselves. But generally, we are thinking of management. We are applying ourselves to management only in terms of business management or industry management or… Generally, we are talking management only with economic situations, not life as a whole. In many ways, it's unfortunate that today the most predominant factor that rules the planet has become economics. The other aspects of life have been totally pushed to the corner. When economics rules, when economics is the only thing that we are thinking about, we will tend to become very gross and unhappy in so many ways. What I see is, we are conducting various levels of programs to very top-level executives in some big corporations in the world, major corporations in the world. What I see is, people who have failed in their lives, they're suffering their failure. People who have succeeded in their life, they're suffering their success. If you suffer your failure, it's okay, because failure comes easy. If you suffer your success, that is tragedy, because success doesn't come easy. So, something that you worked for, something that you always longed for, something that you wanted to create in your life, when it happens, if you start suffering that, that's real tragedy of life. But a large number of successful people on the planet are suffering their success. When I say suffering their success, if you look at people, look at yourself and see, you're still young people, most of you. When you're 5 years of age, how happy you were, and today how happy you are. If we make a chart out of it, a graph out of it, is it moving upward or downward? In 24 hours' time, how many moments are you really happy? If you look at this, is it going up or down? Is it going up or down? Down. So that means you're a bad manager. Because after all, everything that you did in your life is in pursuit of happiness, isn't it? All that you're doing in your life, you're doing it because you believe that is your happiness. You educate yourself, you pursue careers, you build families, you run after your ambitions. So many things you do because somewhere you believe fulfilling those things will bring you happiness. After doing all that, if happiness is not multiplying, it is going down, that means you are a bad manager of yourself. Anybody who does not know how to manage his own body, his own mind, his own emotion and his energies, if he is managing outside situations, he is only managing them by accident, not by intent, the way he wants it. Because if you do not know how to manage your mind, how to manage your energies, how to manage your interiority, managing the outside is bound to be accidental. When you manage situations by accident, you exist as an accident. When you exist as an accident, you are a potential calamity. When you exist as a potential calamity, being anxious all the time becomes a natural part of life. Anywhere you go today, people are talking stress management. Especially a few years ago when I first went to United States, wherever I go, people were talking stress management. I could not understand why anybody wants to manage his stress. I can understand you want to manage your business, your finance, your family, your property, whatever, but why would you want to manage stress? It took me a while to understand these people have come to the conclusion that there is no other way to live Somehow people have come to the conclusion that if you do things in the world, you're bound to be stressful. One is not stressful because of what they're doing. One is stressful because he's a bad manager of himself. He doesn't know how to manage his own systems. That is why he's stressful. It is not the nature of the job which makes one stressful. You ask a chaparasi, he is also stressful. You ask the top executive, he is also stressful. Everybody believes their job is stressful. No job is stressful. If you have no control over your own systems, you will be stressful. Whether you do something or you don't do anything, isn't it so? See, management means… fundamentally, management means we want to decide the course of our destiny. That's management, isn't it? We don't want to live here by accident. We want to take our lives where we want to go. That's management, isn't it so? If you're managing by accident, you are not a manager. Without you, things will run better. So once you say, I'm a manager, that means somewhere you have decided that you want to go in a particular way. You want to have a certain kind of situation, both inward and outward. So everybody is a manager in his own capacity, but in different levels and different types. Whether you manage a kitchen where you cook for 4 people, or you manage a large industry where 10,000 people work, fundamentally, if you want to have a good kitchen or a good industry, you must be a good manager of that situation, isn't it? So whether you're managing a little kitchen or a large industry, if you want to manage outside situations, generally you will have to manage material and people around you. If you have to manage 10 people or 10,000 people around you, you have to manage 10 minds or 10,000 minds around you. But if you have no management over your own mind, you managing 10,000 minds is going to be a disaster. In the process of doing something, if we are destroying human beings, which is happening right now, in the process of managing a situation, the man is broken, then this kind of management is no good, because after all, every management that we do is only for human well-being. If we are doing management for human well-being, in the process of doing something, in the process of managing situations, it is not only about producing something or making profit. Human beings should rise to their full potential. If we manage a situation properly, in simple process of working, you and the people who are working with you should be able to raise to their full potential. When I say rising to full potential, not just work potential, but as human beings, they must be able to rise to their full potential. If people work together, then people should be able to rise to the peak of their love, peace, compassion within themselves. If this doesn't happen, then it's bad management, because all management, the basic intent is human well-being. If that is not happening, you're just producing something, you're making little profit, but human beings are getting broken in the process, it doesn't mean anything. So if this kind of management has to happen, that just in managing a business, you find people around you raise to their peak, then you have to spend a certain amount of time in focusing on your inner management. If this doesn't happen, you will only manage situations by accident. A lot of people have understood management as a way of throwing their weight around. Can I tell you a joke? Are you okay? On a certain day, a lion was really feeling great within himself. He just was walking and a little rabbit was going, he caught him and roared at him, "Who is the king of the jungle?" The little rabbit, terrified, said, You, of course you." He let him go, swaggered around a little bit. Then he found a fox, caught him, "Who is the king of the jungle?" "Oh my lord, it's you, of course, nobody else but you." Then he swaggered around a little bit, caught a few more animals, everybody screamed out of fear, "You are the king of the jungle." Then he was in full swagger, like a manager. King of the jungle Walked into a clearing in the jungle, there was a huge tusker standing. He went, stood in front of him and asked, "Who is the king of the jungle?" The tusker took his trunk, rolled him up, picked him up, twirled him around, smashed him to the ground. His back broke. Then the lion said, "You could have just told me." But the tusker said, "You see, I had to make my point." So, lot of people generally are thinking management means just throwing their weight around. Throwing your weight around is not management, any fool can do that. If you manage a situation, not just things happening there, people should feel elevated, just being in that space. Otherwise, it is not management. Above all, if you go to a place and you manage a situation, you must feel wonderful being there. If that doesn't happen, you are not a good manager. So if this has to happen, you need an inner dimension. When I say inner dimension, what is inner dimension? When I say inner, I'm not just talking about the body or the mind, because both this body and mind you gathered from outside in certain ways, isn't it? For example, this physical body, when you were a child, this body was only this much. Now it's become this much. How did this happen? How did this happen? That's a question. How did this happen? You grew up, how did it happen, I'm asking? I'm sorry? How did it happen? How did all this body happen? Food that you ate, isn't it? What you call as my body is actually a heap of food that you gathered. What you call as food is just a piece of earth that you convert it into food and make it into body, isn't it? So this body is just a heap of food that you gathered over a period of time. What you call as my mind is a heap of impressions that you gathered from outside. Now you have a heap of food and a heap of impressions. If this much gathering has to happen, something more than this must exist, isn't it? If you are capable of gathering such a large body and so much mind, there must be something more fundamental than this. But that never comes into your experience. You're just lost in these two heaps, trying to make some sense out of it. Now, as there is a science, as there is a management science for external well-being, there is a management for science for inner well-being. It is just that most of the time we have not approached it scientifically, we're just believing by doing something somehow everything will be okay. Right now, people are thinking by educating themselves they will live happily ever after, which you will discover after some time it's not so. By getting a job, they think they're going to be happy ever after, which you will discover it is not so. By making money, you think you're going to be happy ever after, you will discover it is not so. Somebody thinks by getting married they're going to be ever after, and they know it is not so. So, you're trying to somehow fool yourself into believing that by doing something everything will be okay. Though repeatedly it has let you down, still you believe that something else, some other miracle will make everything okay. It'll not be okay. It once happened. On a certain day, a bull and a pheasant were grazing on the field. You know a bull, a pheasant, a bird. The bull was grazing on the grass, the pheasant was picking ticks off the bull, they're partners. Then the pheasant looked at a huge tree which was at the edge of the field and very nostalgically said, "Alas, there was a time when I could fly to the topmost branch of the tree, but today I do not have the strength even to fly to the first branch of the tree." The bull very nonchalantly said, "That's no problem. Eat a little bit of my dung every day. You will see, within a fortnight's time you will reach the top of the tree." The pheasant said, "Oh, come off it. How is that possible?" The bull said, "Really, please try and see. The whole humanity is on it. You could try too." Very hesitantly, the pheasant started pecking at the dung, and lo, on the very first day it reached the first branch of the tree. In a fortnight's time, it reached the topmost branch of the tree. It just went and sat on the topmost branch and just looking at the scenery, enjoying it. The old farmer saw a fat old pheasant on the top of the tree. He took out his shotgun and shot him off the tree. So the moral of the story is, even bullshit can get you to the top, but never lets you stay there. So, if you are seeking a life of fulfillment, if you are seeking a life of joy and peace and well-being within yourself, don't try to bull yourself in some way. You must do the right thing, otherwise it won't work. Now that you are managers or to be managers, probably, definitely I hope they have taught you that unless you do the right thing, it doesn't work with outside. The same goes with the inside, unless you do the right thing, it just doesn't work. You may just bull yourself to believe that this will make me all right, that will make me all right. Yes, for a moment, but the next moment you crash. Please see, successful people, unsuccessful people, just look at their lives and see in 24 hours, how many moments are they really joyful? How many? You go on the street and see how many joyful faces do you see on the street? Very, very few, isn't it so? Yes? If you see any, usually they are young faces. Over 30 faces are all long faces. What's happened to them? For most of them, their lives have worked out far better than they ever imagined. If you look at yourself as a generation, never before another generation of people have been this comfortable and this well physically as you are right now, isn't it? Isn't it so? We are the most comfortable generation. No other generation has known these kind of comforts and conveniences. But still, are we any happier than what people were? This is simply because we did not do inner management. We just did external management, no inner management. In the process of creating what we want, the very source of our life, this planet, we're just destroying, isn't it? In pursuit of our happiness, we are just making a bonfire out of this planet, but still we are not satisfied, nor are we any more joyful than what we were 500 years ago as people were, isn't it? So somewhere we have neglected the interiority. So to turn inward, what is needed? One reason why most young people here have never made any effort to turn inward is because today, any thinking person, the moment he can read ABC, speak English and he has extra alphabets next to his name, he develops an allergy towards anything spiritual. This is not your fault. These so-called spiritual people have made such jokers out of themselves. They have presented spirituality in such terrible ways, ridiculous ways, that anybody who has any sense doesn't want to go anywhere near it. See, a spirituality means to know something which is beyond the physical. Right now, if you exist as a physical entity, as a body, as a mind, Because both these things are accumulations from outside, whatever happens outside will happen inside. If what happens outside begins to happen within you all the time, then you being peaceful and happy is always accidental. Because it doesn't matter who you are, how powerful you are, how great a manager you are, external situations will never be 100% in your control. That's the nature of the life. Even if you're just two people in the family, still you don't have absolute control over the situation, isn't it so? As the scope and play of your life increases, you have less and less control over the situations in which you live. That's the reality of life. So if whatever is happening outside is happening within you, you being peaceful and happy in your life is a faraway thing, it's never going to happen. Only when a person begins to experience a dimension beyond the physical within himself, then he can play with the physical world whichever way he wants. He can do the best that he can do with the outside world, but the interiority is undisturbed, always the way you want it. The outside world will not happen the way we want it 100%. At least the inner world should happen the way we want it, isn't it so? Isn't it so? The outside will never happen 100% the way we want it. That's the reality of life. But at least this one should happen the way we want it. If this is also not happening the way you want it, if your body, if your mind, if your emotions, if your energies are not functioning the way you want it, then this is the worst kind of slavery, because somebody else decides what should happen within you. If somebody else decides what should happen around you, that itself you call it slavery, isn't it so? Yes? Are we in talking terms or no? Okay, that's fine. If somebody decides what should happen around you, that itself you call as slavery. But if someone decides what should happen within you, is it not a more horrible way of being a slave? But please see, the whole world is in it. The only consolation is everybody is like this. Now that you're learning management as a science, I would like you to understand there is a whole science of inner management. If you don't learn that, you may manage businesses, you may manage industry, but still you will not live a life of fulfillment and well-being. If you want to live a life of fulfillment and well-being and offer the same to people around you, it's extremely important you know what it means to manage your interiority. I really don't know how you feel today going out of probably the last step of your education, or at least one step of your education, a major step of your education. Because when I studied in the university, I did not go to my convocation. Somewhere, right from my childhood. Are you okay for a story? Right from my childhood, the education that I received, though they sent me to the best possible schools around, it didn't mean anything to me, because my sense of listening and looking at people was such. When the teachers were talking whatever, chemistry, biology or mathematics, one thing I could clearly see was whatever they were saying didn't mean a damn thing to them. And I was not willing to listen to anything from somebody who is talking something which doesn't mean anything to him. So, I always looked at the teacher If he put his heart into it, I'm willing to be there, otherwise I'm out. Because somewhere I have so many things on my agenda for the day. 24 hours are packed with too many things. I'm not willing to spend an hour or even 5 minutes listening to someone who is talking something which doesn't mean anything to him. Even if he's talking nonsense, it doesn't matter. If it means something to him, I'm willing to listen to it. But if he's talking great things which don't mean anything to him, I am not willing to listen to him. So as a part of this, I spent… Your education is over, so I can talk. I spent almost 90% of my college hours outside, only 10% inside. Only when I saw somebody who is talking something with passion, I'm there. Otherwise, I'm just out. Now, this education, I'm repeatedly telling Dr. Majumdar and a few other people around here, I'm happy to see somebody's talking with some passion about what they're doing. Somebody, it doesn't matter what they're doing is right, wrong, okay, perfect or not, but someone has put his heart into it, it's okay, because human lives becomes beautiful not because we do the right things. Human lives become beautiful because we put our heart into what we're doing. It doesn't matter what we're doing, whether we are sweeping the floor or managing the country or what we are doing, if we are putting our heart into what we are doing, it's beautiful to be doing that activity. So I think it's a fortune that I've just seen a few people, I hope everybody here is putting their hearts into what they're doing and living in an atmosphere where people are passionate about what they're doing itself is highly enriching. Now that you're stepping into the world, not that you don't know, but anyway, now you're stepping into the world in a different dimension than the way you have been till now. Once you step into the world, there's going to be a lot of filth. There is corruption, there is nonsense, there is so many things happening everywhere. There are some set of people, a certain set of people, who will develop an allergy for this filth. They can't stand it. They usually run to the Himalayas because they're allergic to filth, they can't take it. They want everything pure. But such a thing will not happen because the filth of the world has one way or the other has entered our minds. Whether we empower that filth or not is all the option that we have. But we cannot avoid filth, it is there. All the nonsense that can happen in the world, you know in your head, isn't it? So one set of people develop allergy and try to run away, which they can never do, really. Another set of people, a large segment of people, unfortunately, have come to their own kind of philosophies. Anyway, world is full of filth, let me also become filth. So they have joined that, they have merged into the filth. What we call as filth can also be great manure, Indian spirituality has always used lotus as a symbolism. A lotus flower has always been the main symbolism for Indian spirituality. Why a lotus flower is? A lotus flower grows best where the filth is thick. This filth which is stinking, which you can't bear, has transformed itself into a fragrant, beautiful flower. This option also is with us every moment of our life. If the atmospheres that we live in make us… we cannot call ourselves managers. If we make the atmospheres that we live in, only then we can call ourselves managers. Being a manager means that we are going to create whatever we see as the most beautiful thing to happen right now. Allowing situations to create you is not management at all. Creating the situations that we want, is management. As many of them have said many things, this process of education, there is a certain acceleration now that education is over, you're stepping into your new dimension of life, the excitement, and it's always beautiful to step into something new that you believe is going to be wonderful. But what we have seen with life with most people is, now let's say somebody got a job, the first day when they went and sat behind this table was the most fantastic place in the world. But within a few years, behind the same table, they're manufacturing blood pressure, diabetes, ulcers and whatnot. This is not because there is something wrong with the jobs that we do. This is not because there is something wrong with the world that we live in. It is simply because we have not paid sufficient attention to ourselves. We have paid too much attention to what is outside. To succeed in the world, people are always thinking, great aspirations will make you successful. Aspiration is just an initial starting point. Just because you aspire for success, just because you aspire for prosperity, just because you aspire for well-being, it doesn't happen. Success, prosperity, well-being happens because you have made yourself capable of creating those things. Everybody aspires. Who is not aspiring for success in the world? Everybody is aspiring. Even a beggar on the street is trying to be a successful beggar, isn't it so? Every human being is aspiring for it, but only those who have made themselves capable will succeed. Making yourself capable, not only in terms of management skills and other things, but that is needed too, but making yourself capable as a human being to go through situations untouched, to be like a lotus flower, even if you're in the filthiest of situations, to maintain your beauty and fragrance. If one has this, he will float through this life untouched. If one doesn't have it, life will eat him up in so many ways. It's my wish and my blessing that this new set of managers will manage this world, this country, this community, and the business and commerce, which is part of our existence today in the world, in a much better way than the previous generations of people have done, because externally we are better equipped than ever before. If we make a little effort, it's a fortune that an institution has made an effort to equip you internally to whatever extent it was possible for them. If you equip yourself for internal management also, I'm sure that this group of people and many more who will pass out of this institution should definitely manage this world, this nation and the communities much, much better than the way it's been done till now. When it comes to management, there's no such thing as perfect management. It is just that if people give themselves absolutely to what they're doing, things will happen. Right now, the Isha Foundation, Dr. Karthikeyan, after seeing what's happening there, that's how he's been into this. It is run by all young people, the whole foundation. We have hundreds of centers in India and outside the country. Everything is managed by very young people. People who have been with us for 14, 15 years, they are just in their early 30s now. Very, very young people. No senior people, no experienced people, just young people, raw hands. I took this as a challenge to make it happen through them, not using any kind of experience. I'm not against experience, I'm not against that, but I wanted to make a statement that incredible things can be done, not because we know how to do it. Incredible things can be done simply because we are committed that we want it to happen, that's all. Today, this has grown into a voluntary organization with over 200,000 active volunteers around the world. And we have taken enormous projects of social significance. All these things are handled by volunteers. They're not paid for it, they spend from their own pockets and do things. And you need to understand, managing these people, managing volunteers is much more difficult than managing paid employees, because you can't fire them. You can never fire them for inefficiency or indiscipline or whatever, because they're there on a voluntary basis. So, people who manage these situations, very young people without any qualifications, they are such fantastic managers of people. The way they manage the situations, the way they conduct thousands of people has set such a exemplary example in the community there. I would take this opportunity someday that when it's possible you visit Isha Yoga Center as to how things are managed, so simply, because management doesn't come… I know you need to learn about finance, this, that, banking and those kind of things, but fundamentally management is your ability to be capable of inspiring people to do their best. And that's all we can do. If everybody around us are doing their best, that's the best possible management that can happen. So this is not going to come with manipulation, this is only going to come with dedication, this is only going to come with love, this is only going to come because you are willing to give yourself 100% to the person who is next to you at that moment. Oh, is all this possible? Is it not all utopian? You think this is the reality in the corporate sector? I'm telling you, we are working in the prisons, we are working in rural areas, we are working with major corporations in the world. It doesn't matter what kind of person you meet. If you just learn to touch the core of his humanity, then you see every human being is willing to do his best for you, always. If you just learn how to touch the very core of a human being who is around you right now, you will see everybody is willing to lay their lives down for you. Only if people around you love you and they want to do the best for you, you will not get ulcers doing management. If people around you are trying to pull you down, you will anyway get ulcers trying to manage situations. Isn't it so? If you do not create the people who truly love us and wanting to give their best, then management is going to be a pain. Management is going to be a huge suffering. Only when people around us really want to do the best for you, only then management can happen wonderfully. It's my wish and my blessing that all of you turn out as truly great managers of yourself and the world around you. Our lives become beautiful not because of what we do. Our lives becomes beautiful simply because we have included everybody around us as a part of our dream of well-being. I hope all of you become truly successful and well. In whatever way, with inner technologies, if you need any help, we are always available to you. It's been a joy to be here in this institution. I've been to any number of colleges, people are the same, but creating an institution with some sense of commitment for inner well-being in today's world is… I'm too happy, thank you.
See, we have a biology, we cannot put it under the carpet, it's there. It's best we address it for what it is. But right now the problem in the world is, because certain religious institutions in the world took this attitude that the very biology of the human being is wrong, because of this, culture started hiding it under the carpet.
Well, in this culture we never had it, but after the British came and left, we became more prudish than the British. But before that, if you look at our temples, all the outside temple art is all pornographic, if that's what you want to call it. But we don't call it pornographic, we are only talking about the various dimensions of human biology. Because we don't see it as wrong, but we see it as the periphery of life. If you stay there only, you will stay on the physical dimension forever, you will not explore anything else. So in the temple, always it's the periphery. You are supposed to look at that and understand it's the periphery of life and try to make an attempt to go deeper, but at the same time not to be in denial of it. Not to glorify it or not to be in denial of it is the most important thing. But in your college, watching these things on the whatever, your internet or whatever, people tell me that… somebody told me, I don't know if these percentages are correct. When I was asking, what is the content? I was trying to understand the internet and its content, what is the real content on the internet? They're telling me, you should know, they're telling me 70% of the content on the internet is pornography. Is it so? Is it so? You must be the expert. Is somebody doing PhD on it? They told me 70%. I said 70% is unreasonable and sick levels of pornography. If it occupies a small percentage, it's okay. 70% of a technological platform which could do millions of things, unfortunately is pornographic. Just biology of life is very unfortunate because once you come as a human being, your biology is not the front end of your life. It is one part of your life. This cerebral capability came so that your intelligence becomes the front end of your life, and if you become conscious, your consciousness becomes the front end of your life. Biology is the front end of a bull. It's okay for him, that's all he knows. But biology should not be the front end of a human life, it is part of our life. We are not denying it. So, at a certain stage in your life, it's like this. A 95-year-old man went for a medical checkup with his doctor. The doctor did a thorough checkup and said, "Hey, old boy, you're doing great for 95, no problem with you." Then the old man asked, "Doctor, but what about my sex life?" Then the doctor looked at him and asked, "Thinking about it or talking about it?" So at different stages of life, there are some times you only think about it and talk about it, there are some times you indulge in it. These are passing phases of life. How much of it is needed for you, you are the best judge. But at the same time, you came here not to explore your biology. At least you should have gone to MSc in biology. You shouldn't be wasting your time in a technological institute exploring biology. Does it mean to say you don't have biology, you don't have biological needs? You have, it's fine, but it must be on the periphery. It should not become the core of your life because it will reduce you in the sense. A creature which was purely biological evolved into a place which has an intelligence of its own beyond its biology. See, animal intelligence works for its biology alone. How to get its food, how to get its mate, this is all its entire life is. If human intelligence also functions like that, you are bellying the evolutionary process. You are seeing how to go back, take the evolutionary process backward, not necessary. This does not mean you do not have a body, body has its needs, as there is physical hunger, so there is sexuality. You have to address it in some way, but to what extent is your choice, but definitely it should not be the front end of your life because you're rolling back evolutionary scheme of putting your intelligence and consciousness in the front. Instead of that, you're putting your biology in the front.
How important is a man's semen for physical, mental, and spiritual well-being? Can wasting our semen damage us spiritually?
Well, you know, semen is the basis of your physical existence, whether you're a man or a woman. You have come into existence because that is 50% of the ingredient. Yes? Well, we have skin, we have epithelial cells, we have hair, we have many other aspects of body, heart, liver, kidney, so many things. All these cells are of a certain potency in their own way. But semen is of an extraordinary level of potency, it can create a whole new life. Well, today you can take an epithelial cell and do a lot of things in a laboratory and maybe we can clone you, all right? So the potential is here also, but it is not in the same dynamics as it is in a cell, which you're referring to as semen. So in the yogic culture, this is called as virya. Virya also refers to what you call as vajra, which means stability, or diamond, which is the hardest thing. So in the human body, virya is considered to be like vajra. That means it is one of the most potent things if you know how to use it. Well, how to use it means you can use it to produce a child, that's one thing. Well, if you are… this question is coming because you are using it to spill it on the JNU bed sheets. Okay if that's how you're using it, well, that's your compulsion, you're doing whatever you're doing. This is not something to be judged morally, that's not the point, it's a question of what is the level of compulsion that one has. But anything in this body, can it be transformed into a different level of function? Absolutely. Not just semen, just everything in this body can be transformed. See, suppose I give you all soup-making ingredients, same soup-making ingredients to every one of you. Do you believe all of you will produce the same soup? No. You will produce 500 varieties of soups, those same ingredients. That's all that's happened with us right now. All of us are fundamentally same ingredients, but see how different each one of us are. Different soups. Well, if I give you soup-making ingredients, either you can make a great soup or a lousy soup. Depends what kind of skills you have, isn't it? So this goes for everything, not just for semen. Every dimension of your body and your mind, you can transform into something tremendous, or you can make it mediocre, or you can make it a serious problem. Every aspect of your life. That goes for this aspect of life also. This same energy, see, people are making it literal translations, but if you want to produce a certain, let's say, epithelial cells, how much energy the body spends on it? And if you want to produce a cell which you call a semen, how much energy body spends is very different. This can be scientifically established. So, when you're investing so much energy in that, obviously it has a potency if you know how to explore. But are you competent to explore? Are you capable of exploring? Do you have the necessary sadhana and guidance to do that? That's a big question. Oh, looks like a popular question, See, we have a biology, we cannot put it under the carpet, it's there. It's best we address it for what it is.
But right now the problem in the world is because certain religious institutions in the world took this attitude that the very biology of the human being is wrong, because of this, culture started hiding it under the carpet. Well, in this culture we never had it, but after the British came and left, we became more prudish than the British. But before that, if you look at our temples, all the outside temple art is all pornographic, if that's what you want to call it. But we don't call it pornographic, we are only talking about the various dimensions of human biology. Because we don't see it as wrong, but we see it as the periphery of life. If you stay there only, you will stay on the physical dimension forever, you will not explore anything else. So in the temple, always it's the periphery. You are supposed to look at that and understand it's the periphery of life and try to make an attempt to go deeper, but at the same time not to be in denial of it. Not to glorify it or not to be in denial of it is the most important thing. But in your college, watching these things on the whatever, your internet or whatever, people tell me that… somebody told me, I don't know if these percentages are correct. When I was asking, what is the content? I was trying to understand the internet and its content, what is the real content on the internet? They're telling me, you should know, they're telling me 70% of the content on the internet is pornography. Is it so? Is it so? You must be the expert. Is somebody doing PhD on it? They told me 70%. I said 70% is unreasonable and sick levels of pornography. If it occupies a small percentage, it's okay. 70% of a technological platform which could do millions of things, unfortunately is pornographic. Just biology of life is very unfortunate because once you come as a human being, your biology is not the front end of your life. It is one part of your life. This cerebral capability came so that your intelligence becomes the front end of your life, and if you become conscious, your consciousness becomes the front end of your life. Biology is the front end of a bull. It's okay for him, that's all he knows. But biology should not be the front end of a human life, it is part of our life. We are not denying it. So, at a certain stage in your life, it's like this. A 95-year-old man went for a medical checkup with his doctor. The doctor did a thorough checkup and said, "Hey, old boy, you're doing great for 95, no problem with you." Then the old man asked, "Doctor, but what about my sex life?" Then the doctor looked at him and asked, "Thinking about it or talking about it?" So at different stages of life, there are some times you only think about it and talk about it, there are some times you indulge in it. These are passing phases of life. How much of it is needed for you, you are the best judge. But at the same time, you came here not to explore your biology. At least you should have gone to MSc in biology. You shouldn't be wasting your time in a technological institute exploring biology. Does it mean to say you don't have biology, you don't have biological needs? You have, it's fine, but it must be on the periphery. It should not become the core of your life because it will reduce you in the sense. A creature which was purely biological evolved into a place which has an intelligence of its own beyond its biology. See, animal intelligence works for its biology alone. How to get its food, how to get its mate, this is all its entire life is. If human intelligence also functions like that, you are bellying
the evolutionary process. You are seeing how to go back, take the evolutionary process backward, not necessary. This does not mean you do not have a body has its needs, as there is physical hunger, so there is sexuality. You have to address it in some way, but to what extent is your choice, but definitely it should not be the front end of your life because you're rolling back evolutionary scheme of putting your intelligence and consciousness in the front. Instead of that, you're putting your biology in the front.
How important is a man's semen for physical, mental, and spiritual well-being? Can wasting our semen damage us spiritually?
Well, you know, semen is the basis of your physical existence, whether you're a man or a woman. You have come into existence because that is 50% of the ingredient. Yes? Well, we have skin, we have epithelial cells, we have hair, we have many other aspects of body, heart, liver, kidney, so many things. All these cells are of a certain potency in their own way. But semen is of an extraordinary level of potency, it can create a whole new life. Well, today you can take an epithelial cell and do a lot of things in a laboratory and maybe we can clone you, all right? So the potential is here also, but it is not in the same dynamics as it is in a cell, which you're referring to as semen. So in the yogic culture, this is called as virya. Virya also refers to what you call as vajra, which means stability, or diamond, which is the hardest thing. So in the human body, virya is considered to be like vajra. That means it is one of the most potent things if you know how to use it. Well, how to use it means you can use it to produce a child, that's one thing. Well, if you are… this question is coming because you are using it to spill it on the JNU bed sheets. Okay if that's how you're using it, well, that's your compulsion, you're doing whatever you're doing. This is not something to be judged morally, that's not the point, it's a question of what is the level of compulsion that one has. But anything in this body, can it be transformed into a different level of function? Absolutely. Not just semen, just everything in this body can be transformed. See, suppose I give you all soup-making ingredients, same soup-making ingredients to every one of you. Do you believe all of you will produce the same soup? No. You will produce 500 varieties of soups, those same ingredients. That's all that's happened with us right now. All of us are fundamentally same ingredients, but see how different each one of us are. Different soups. Well, if I give you soup-making ingredients, either you can make a great soup or a lousy soup. Depends what kind of skills you have, isn't it? So this goes for everything, not just for semen. Every dimension of your body and your mind, you can transform into something tremendous, or you can make it mediocre, or you can make it a serious problem. Every aspect of your life. That goes for this aspect of life also. This same energy, see, people are making it literal translations, but if you want to produce a certain, let's say, epithelial cells, how much energy the body spends on it? And if you want to produce a cell which you call a semen, how much energy body spends is very different. This can be scientifically established. So, when you're investing so much energy in that, obviously it has a potency if you know how to explore. But are you competent to explore? Are you capable of exploring? Do you have the necessary sadhana and guidance to do that? That's a big question.
In this world, good people are suffering more or bad people are suffering more? Good people are always suffering more. Yes? People who think they are good, they are simply a suffering. Isn't it so? Please look at this. Now, first of all, how did you become good? He's not okay, she's not okay, he's not okay, he's not okay, he's not okay, she's not okay. Compared to all these people, I am a good man. From where did you get the idea that you're good? Tell me. You have compared yourself with lots of people and you labeled everybody as bad. And now you feel good. Somebody who thinks he is very good, in his mind, nobody in the world is okay. The more good you think you are, nobody is okay for you. Is that so? Isn't it so? People who believe they are very good people, nobody wants to go anywhere near them because they're so good, no life can happen. Your goodness is only in comparison with something else, isn't it? Yes? And you establishing yourself as good and making all these people are totally wretched people, then I am a really good man, isn't it so? Good people won't get anywhere, either in this world or in the other world. Can you take a joke? Do you have good digestion? Huh? I'm not talking about that digestion. One day, in his previous life, Shankaran Pillai was a good man. After a brief illness, he died. Being a good man, he naturally went to heaven. He landed up at heaven, there at the reception committee of angels, opened his account book. Page after page, good deed, good deed, good deed, good deed, good deed. Cover to cover, only good. Then the angels were in confusion. Then they came to Shankaran Pillai and said, Mr. Pillai, there's a little problem here. He asked, what is the problem? He said, the angel said, see here we have various kinds of accommodation in heaven, various levels of accommodation. One bad deed means highest heaven, sea front view. Two bad deeds, next level of accommodation, three bad deeds, next level of accommodation, like this. But no bad deed, we don't have such a place. We really don't know what to do with you. You are the first man to come like this. Shankaran Pillai thought, what nonsense. In the world, nobody wanted to come near me because I was such a good man. I lived with the hope of getting to heaven, and even here problem. Then the angels had a discussion and they arrived at a conclusion. They said, don't you worry, Mr. Pillai, we have found a solution. Your body is still intact there. We'll give you 3 hours of life. Just commit one bad deed. We'll put you in the highest heaven. Nothing is lost. Lo, Shankaran Pillai became alive here. Then he sat there thinking how to commit a bad deed. An hour and a half passed away. See, he's not like you, he has no practice. After an hour and a half, he remembered, in the neighborhood, there is a woman who is well beyond her prime, who's been casting inviting glances at him. He being a good man, he never looked that way. Now he thought, okay, adultery is a bad deed. Because after all, he's going to do whatever he is going to do just to go to heaven. So he went looking for the woman, he went and knocked on her door. She came and opened the door. When she opened the door, Shankaran Pillai said, "I want you." "Why, Mr. Pillai, just yesterday evening they told me, you're on your deathbed, what is this?" He said, "It doesn't matter, I want you." He went in, nature took over, things happened between them. He doesn't want to die in her house. Time is running out, so he told her, "I need to go." And he came to the door. The woman came to see him off and she said, "Mr. Pillai, do you know what a good deed you have done for me today?" One more good deed. What to do? So good people will neither make it here nor there. It's not your goodness which liberates you. Your goodness is only in comparison with somebody else. Your goodness being in comparison with somebody else, it's not about goodness, it's a kind of sickness. It's just like, right now, people are going about like this. They are happy. They don't know what joy is. Their happiness is just that they have things that other people don't have. Isn't it? Now let's say you are all very hungry, but my stomach is full. And I feel so happy that nobody has food, but at least I have something to eat. Is this happiness or sickness? Humanity is suffering from the sickness which is passing off as happiness for most people. Isn't it so?
Sometime back, I happened to be in a situation where a friend of mine was drunk. So, when she was in the drunk state, she was repeatedly saying that, "Please don't judge me as I'm drinking. Please don't judge me."
It is… but she has lost her judgment, but she doesn't want you.
So my question is, whether it is alcohol or not, in life, why are we so apprehensive about being judged by others? And how can we not let this come on our way of being happy?
Look at me. See, I'm always stoned. Never touched a substance, but always stoned. You can judge me whichever way you want. Because one thing is, I'm stoned in such a way that I have not lost my judgment at all. And at the same time, whichever way you judge me has absolutely no impact on me because I'm completely stoned. Having said that, why this consumption of alcohol and drugs is growing the way it's growing in the world is, this is because the heavens have been collapsing. Yes, I was in Bangalore just 3-4 weeks ago. There were over 8,000 people doing a 2-day program with me. And just casually I asked, "How many of you think you will go to heaven?" Only 5 hands went up. Then I asked, "Are you all the hell people?" No, it's just that both heaven and hell have collapsed in people's minds. This is the first time in the history of humanity that this many people in the world can think for themselves. Otherwise, your priest, your mullah, your pandit or a book was thinking for you. The first time that so many people can think for themselves. Are they thinking right, thinking wrong? There are many issues about that. But they're thinking right, thinking wrong, but they're thinking. So all illogical things are naturally collapsing. Still, this generation has not fully walked away from it, still there is fear. They can't openly say, there's no goddamn hell or heaven. They're still fearful about it, but they're trying to make a little heaven for themselves here. So, hey, wait. So naturally, when they're not able to do it for themselves out of their own intelligence, they will fall back on chemicals. Today, just to take very affluent societies, because every society is aspiring to be like that, let's say you take United States, which is the most affluent nation on the planet right now. 70% of US population is on prescription medication. Another 30%, of course, buying it off the back streets. Most affluent nation, obviously affluence is not working. To be healthful, you need chemicals. To be joyful, you need chemicals. To be peaceful, you need chemicals. To be ecstatic, of course, that is ecstasy. So, I'm not even looking at it morally. It's never a moral issue for me. If 90% of this population right now is on chemicals, believe me, the next generation that we produce will be a generation which is much less than us. If we produce a next generation less than ourselves, we have committed a crime against humanity, because the next generation must be at least one step ahead of us, otherwise we've lost it. We've lost the entire process of civilization when we produce a next generation which is actually less than us. So, we are heading towards this rapidly unless we teach individual human beings how to simply sit here and be blissed out. Stoned enough or no? Just look at me. But am I conscious enough, alert enough, clear enough? If there was a way to intoxicate yourself without losing your judgment, without losing your awareness, without losing your intelligence, it's a great thing. Intoxication is a fantastic thing. Only problem is, it takes away your judgment, it takes away your intelligence, incapacitates you. That is the problem, isn't it? Is it true? Ask anybody, you're not in the medical sciences, but ask anybody, is it true that this body here is the greatest chemical factory in the universe right now? The universe that we know at least? Only problem is you're a lousy manager. If you know how to manage this, you would be like me, always blissed out. Anybody can say what they want, anybody can do what they want. This is like this only. Because I have not given this privilege to anybody, that somebody can make me happy, somebody can make me unhappy, somebody can make me miserable. Right now, you are a consequence of other people's opinions. Where do you plan to go like this? Anybody can ruin you. You went outside, somebody told you, Shreya, you are the most wonderful human being we have seen. Then you were floating on that cloud, what number? What number? 9. Oh, in South we do 11. You were floating on cloud whatever number, and you came home, people at home told you who you really are. And the cloud will crash. No. It's very important that neither this way or that way, we listen to everybody, because we could be doing something wrong. Hello? Any moment we could be doing something wrong, so we listen to everybody. But what they say will not determine how I am. Never, ever. This you must fix, and you must tell your friend when she's not drunk. Because otherwise she won't understand.
We appreciate your presence and active participation. Let's continue this journey together, exploring new horizons and sharing our light with the world.